Hi, welcome to Stone Family Homestead. I'm Tanya and I'll be showing you 4 dinner ideas for easy weeknight meals as a busy working mom. Hope you enjoy. Tonight for dinner we're going to have hobo packets. So I already peeled and sliced up my potatoes, diced up the pepper. I've got a pound of ground beef here, Montreal steak seasoning, and the salt, pepper, and garlic powder, some butter, and aluminum foil. Honey, next time don't go all the way to the outside. Thank you. I cut our pound of hamburger into 4 equal pieces. I'm going to take this piece and sprinkle generously amount of the Montreal steak seasoning. And we'll kind of mix it in a little bit, form it into kind of a hamburger steak size, and then nice and thin so it cooks evenly and flat. And then we're gonna put it on top of our potatoes and peppers and onions. Pause. Next we'll want to take about a tablespoon of butter, cut that off, and put it in, slide it underneath the hamburger, put the hamburger on top. That way it gets very well seasoned up. Kind of mix the potatoes in and around the hamburger so they get well seasoned as the meat cooks. And then you'll want to grab the 2 ends, roll those together to trap all the steam, and each of the other ends you'll want to roll up at least twice, 2 full rolls, so that way it traps everything in. There's 1 and there's 2. Then you'll repeat that with the other 3, and then we'll put it in a 350-degree oven for, I'm gonna guess, at least 20 to 30 minutes, but I'll let you know how long once it's done. Tonight for dinner we're gonna have scalloped potatoes with ham, and here's everything that you'll need. I've got some potatoes. I'll only use about half of the onion and 12 ounces of ham slices that I need to cube up, some milk, cream of chicken, salt, pepper, and garlic powder, and of course the shredded cheese. I'm going to peel and slice the potatoes, dice the onion and ham, and I'll be back to show you how to put it all together. Alright, now time to assemble. First, in the crock pot, you'll want to spray it with some cooking spray. That way nothing will stick and it can make cleanup a lot easier. And then you'll want to layer some potatoes. Good even layer on the bottom. I'm just using my hands, don't worry, I've washed them. They are clean. And then you'll put some of the chopped onion sprinkled throughout, some of the diced ham that I got here, and the shredded up cheese. And if I have any leftover ham, we can have that with salads this week. Delicious. And then we'll season it with some salt, pepper, garlic powder, get a good dose on the bottom, and add some cheese on top. You can use as much or as little as you want. And then we'll just repeat the layers until we've used up all the potatoes. We don't need to use all that cheese. I shredded up over 1.5 pounds of cheddar cheese there. So we're not going to use all that. Don't worry. But we'll get this in, get it into a nice even layer again. And then we'll add some more of the onion and ham. The onion just gives it a really good flavor. I grew up, my mom would always use it. Even when she'd make potato soup, And I've noticed when it's not in there, you miss it. Oh, gotta season it again. And like I said, it'll be out of that. So, out of it with salt and pepper. But you can use any sort of seasoning you like. I would say at least salt and pepper to it. It gives a really good... Potatoes can handle a lot of seasoning, so you want to make sure at least you got those seasoned up well. And then we repeat with some more potatoes. And then we'll cook this on low. Probably at least for 4 hours, maybe a little more. You can check them for doneness with a fork, because you do want it done. But then we usually let it sit for a little bit to let the starches from the potatoes thicken it back up. Otherwise it's really thin and soupy if you just go right away. But we've done that as well, and it's still very good, don't get me wrong. My boys truly enjoy it. Alright, I will come back once I have it completely assembled. Alright, next we're gonna make the mixture, the milk mixture that goes over top, and that takes 1 can of cream of chicken soup. And then in the empty can, fill it up with milk. That way we can try to get all the extra bits of goodness out of there. Fill it all the way up. And then pour it in. And then, whoop. Don't spill over like I did. I'll just add a little splash back in. Bloop, bloop. And then we'll just mix this up until it's all together. So nice and even sauce. And then we will pour it over top of our potatoes over here. Alright, once you get it all stirred together, and yes, I'll clean up after myself once I'm done. It'll all be one nice, thin, soupy mixture. Then you bring it over to your potato mixture and just evenly pour it over top. Don't worry, everything will drain down and through and cook up to make it delicious scalloped potatoes. And I was wrong earlier when I said low for 4 hours. It's high for 4 hours, low for 8. Now I'm going to put mine on high. For 4 hours. Now I'll see you when it's all done. Hi friends. Today I'm going to make a lunch. I'd seen online how they make crazy puffs at home. I am going to try it myself. Here's everything you'll need. Next time I try it, I will make my own pizza dough, but since I had this already in my refrigerator, I'm going to go ahead and use it. And then mozzarella cheese, pepperoni, and pizza sauce, and a cupcake or muffin tin. And you'll want to spray it so they do not stick. Alright, I saved you guys the worry of the pop. Now I'm going to cut this in half. And then in thirds. So we'll get 6 crazy puffs out of this. That's why I said next time. Well, maybe we'll try fourths on the other half. We will make our own pizza dough. And that way we know what's in it and can make a lot more of them. Next, you want to take one of them, kind of flatten them out, set them in the bottom of the pan. I think the quarters are better. I can tell you already because there's not as much dough going in the bottom. That's okay. I'll make the other ones work. I'd have to, you know, share a little love from somebody else onto another one. Just a moment, I'm going to cut them a little bit. Alright, I got them all cut down, and actually I got a little bit extra off from the one So one might have a little thin crust, but that's okay. We are perfect with it. Smush them all down so it forms a nice, even, flat base for all the goodness to go into. Next, we'll want to take our pizza sauce. All right, I'm just going to take a tablespoon and dollop a little bit of sauce in each one. Maybe a tablespoon in each one on top of it. Like I said, we're trialing this together. I'd seen it online and it looked delicious. I know my boys love the Crazy Puffs and they're crazy expensive too. All right, once you got that all down, then we'll take some mozzarella. All right, I've got some mozzarella, sprinkle that on top. Oh, also, by the way, before you start, you'll want to preheat your oven to 500 degrees. I'm going to top each one with some cheese. Then we'll come put pepperonis on a couple of them. Some of them we'll just leave them as cheese and go from there, because my one child does not care for pepperonis. He'll eat them, not his favorite. So we'll make some with, some without. Scooch all that cheese goodness back in. No cheese left behind. You don't want to miss the cheese. Cheese is delicious. All right, now we will get some pepperoni slices. All right, grab some pepperoni slices. I'll probably just do 4 of them on the one side so they easier for me to remember which ones have the pepperoni, because we're going to top them all with some more cheese, please. Or if you really want to get fancy, I suppose you could cut your pepperoni into little bite-sized pieces. I'm just going to put 2 in each of these and call it a day and top it with some more cheese. And then after they come out of the oven, we will make a mixture, a butter mixture to dress over top of them. That will give them the extra goodness that we all know and love and desire. Boop, bloop. So, hopefully, you gotta love cheese with these. At least we do. Alright. Get this all sprinkled and in there. We got a whole bunch of goodness coming out and gonna be going in the oven. We still got a few minutes before it's ready to throw in there. Not quite all the way preheated yet. So, there we go. And then we'll want to put it in the oven, like I said, at 500 degrees for 10 to 12 minutes. I will show you what they look like when they come out. For the topping, you're going to need a half a stick of butter, garlic powder, salt, Italian seasoning, and just a pinch of sugar, which I don't have out yet. I'm going to melt the butter, and then I'll come back and show you how to put it all together. Alright, I grabbed about a 1/4 teaspoon of sugar, about the same for salt, half a teaspoon, or a little more, of garlic powder, and, oops, sorry about that, and approximately a half a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. And then we'll mix that all together. And once the Crazy Puffs come out of the oven, we will spread this on top of them all. When they come out, I will come back to you guys. Here's what they're looking, getting close, a little bit longer, and then we'll take them out. Alright friends, I've taken them out of the oven. This is what they're looking like right now. And we will wait a few before they cool down before we take them out and frost them with this delicious butter concoction that we made up. I'll see you back in a few. Now time to drizzle some of the delicious goodness on top. That will make them taste fabulous. Alright, I hope everybody enjoys and see you on the next one. Tonight for dinner we're going to have what my children love to call fancy tacos. It is an every plate meal that I'd had before. Here's what they call it. And here's everything that I will be using. Alongside that, I am going to be making some Spanish style rice with long grain rice and some chicken and tomato bouillon. I'm going to dice up about half the onion and get the hamburger browning, and I'll meet you over at the stove. Alright, so again, like I said, I got my burner on medium. I got the pound of hamburger in. I'm going to add the half of onion, and I had some diced up mixed bell peppers that were in my fridge and needing to be used up. Like I said, I'm loosely following the every plate recipe, turning it kind of into my own. I will brown this up, chopping the meat into fine crumbled bits, and then we will season it up more once it gets closer to being done. So while I have the meat browning, I'm going to zest my lime, and that we will use in with the mayo. We'll mix a little bit of it in with, and along with that we need some juice from this lime. So once I get it zested, I will squeeze it, so that way it's a little bit of a dressing for on top of the taquitos or tostadas or whichever you wish to call it. In my children's world, fancy tacos. Alright, so I'm going to slice the lime in half, and the recipe does call for about 4 tablespoons of mayonnaise. I am using Miracle Whip for ours. That's just what we have on hand, so, and I'm not going to measure, I'm just measuring with my heart, using what I know we'll probably use up for dinner. Rinse the Miracle Whip back off my fingers, because, yeah, we don't need it all over the place. And then I'll come in, put the little bit of zest that I did zest off the lime first in the bowl, along with half of the lime. I will squeeze that in, and then we will stir it up. This is to go on top of the tacos once they're all cooked and assembled. This, along with, I'm cheating using some of my home canned salsa that I made this last summer. More kind of like a pico style, chunkier. I also have another one that's a much thinner or smoother consistency. So this, you just stir it, mix it to the consistency. You want to be able to drizzle it some. You may need to add water to thin it out. I'm going to add a little bit more lime juice to ours, because I don't have any other use for the other half of the lime. So we'll put that in there. And mixy. That'll be nice and should be about the right consistency that we're wanting, because we want to be able to drizzle it over top. Or I'll probably put it on the side for my boys. That way they can use their taco and kind of scoop up the toppings between this and the salsa. And I'll probably get some guacamole cut up, or avocado turned into guacamole, or we do have some that I bought from Sam's Club. So I will bring you back over to the stove so you can see how the meat is looking right now. So it takes a little bit, but you do want to dice it up and chop it. Get it into small little bites. Make sure the peppers and onions are getting mixed in. Yes, I realize I have lots of veggies. And then for the rice, we are just gonna follow the instructions on the back. So we're gonna do 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of water, tablespoon of butter, and then I'll do probably, oh goodness, what does this say? Serving size, so it says 3/4 of a teaspoon, so I'll probably put 2 teaspoons of the tomato bouillon in with the water. Now that my meat is all browned, I'm going to add the seasoning in. I did equal parts pretty much of chili powder, onion powder, garlic powder, and cayenne. So you'll mix that in, stir it around. It's kind of like a taco seasoning. Oops, sorry about that. Stir it around, let it get fragrant for a few minutes, and then we'll add about 1/4 cup of water in and some beef stock as well. Alright, here I have the beef stock and the water going in, and I'll mix that around, let it combine. We'll let it combine, let it sit for a little bit, and then I'll probably wait a little bit, and then we'll start assembling all the tacos. My rice has not started boiling yet, so I'll wait till that gets a little closer to starting to boil, and then we'll start assembling. Alright, now we're going to put them together. While we're doing this, I have in the pan where the meat mixture was cooked, warming up a tablespoon, or melting a tablespoon of butter. I'm just sprinkling a little bit of cheese on 1/2, and then we'll put some of the little bit of the meat mixture in, and then I'm just trying to get a bunch of them together. I'll show you 2 of them here first. Then we just put a little bit of the meat mixture on. Then we'll put it in the frying pan. Bloop, with the melted tablespoon of butter. Brown up both sides. I didn't clean the pan really at all, so there is a little bit of grease from the hamburger mixture in there too. Then we'll brown up both sides, the taco shell, and then serve them up. I'll put a few more of these together, and then I'll take you over to the frying pan and show you how they look over there. Alright, I've got some of them in. They're wanting to pop open, but we'll just brown one side, kind of like you would a quesadilla, and then flip them over and brown the other side, and I'll show you once we got them done. And here's how dinner turned out for tonight.